Welcome to Life Purpose by Design. Our mission is to inspire you to live your greater purpose by God's design. We share faith infused resources so that you can have life clarity, intentionality, and with resiliency. We want to help you to transform from a mindset of just being good enough to a mindset of your greater purpose. So I want you to join us for today's conversation with certified life coach Rhonda Gould as we talk about the pathway forward to the greater purpose. So is there something that's disrupting your movement from just living good enough to living your greater purpose? Maybe you have periods of moments of stagnation or feeling stuck, like you just can't get up to speed for living your best life forward. Maybe you're setting FaithBased that impedes your forward growth. So today is the time for you to transform your mindset to living forward now. And I think of the forward multiplier as some Bible verses that helps us to have a forward mindset. And the first verse is that iron sharpens iron and one man sharpens another, which is found in Proverbs 27. The second forward multiplier is whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, Proverbs 13:20. And the third forward multiplier that I like from the Bible is two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. So, on today's episode of Life Purpose by Design, we are going to share with you a forward momentum story with certified life coach Rhonda Gould. Our conversation is going to talk about her personal story of becoming a certified life coach, being faith empowered for experiencing forward momentum, her mission to engage, to equip, and empower others to leverage forward, to move beyond stagnation, to move beyond slow motion and setbacks, and looking at her big win to live it forward by God's design. So let's welcome certified life coach Rhonda Gould to Life Purpose by Design. Hi, Rhonda.
Hey, Sheila. Thank you so much for having me here with you today.
I'm so glad that you're able to join us. So, one of the things before we get into the actual conversation, I grabbed some nuggets from your social media page. And so I'm calling these Rhonda Gold's nuggets, like people always want to share gold nuggets. So, these are Rhonda Gold's nuggets. And the first one is, are you tired of status quo? It's time to move forward. Life coach Rhonda Leach Gould. And you shared a little bit about some of the life forward questions. And I love this phrase. And you said, and she asked back, but how? And so your going forward quote that I like is, I will help you soar by stepping out of complacency and revealing patterns that hold you down. So I want you to just kind of introduce us to Rhonda Gould, the life coach, and share with us your journey to finding out or answering that, but how in your forward momentum. So I'm not sure on my end, Rhonda, your screen is frozen. So I'm not sure whether you're able to communicate
I
with
think
me.
that we we lost service there for a moment. Sorry about
Okay,
that. Hopefully
that's
that won't
okay.
happen
Welcome back.
again. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that. The
no
internet,
problem.
that's how it is. Satan's trying to stop this for some reason, I think. So, just to give you a little bit about me, I in the bio that Sheila shared, I mentioned that I've always, for as long as I can remember, wanted to be had the dream of being a counselor, someone that families could come to and for help. I was not raised in the church, but I did have some kind of idea that there was something or someone that was greater than me. And I, as do most people, come from a past of dysfunction and heavy baggage, as I'm sure that a lot of my listeners can relate to. So I knew that families would need help. Um, the way I look at that is God was already knitting that trait inside of me. He already had a purpose for me, even way back as a young child. Um, so my family moved to a new community. We were not going to church anywhere. My family moved to a new community, and I started going to church with my neighbor. And I know that God used her to get me closer to Him. So if you are someone that lives next door to someone that is not a Christian, then invite them, because you are a part of His step and His plan for them. From that time, I've had lots of highs and lows in my faith. I've not followed Him straight and narrow for sure. But God allowed me to have all those highs and lows because He had a greater plan. He knew what the purpose was for me in those highs and lows. And those experiences played a huge role in who I am today, who I am, why I'm a coach, how I coach. There are two scriptures that I cling to, have for years, and one of them is actually a little newer. But Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and to not harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. And then Isaiah 40:31, but those who have hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary, and they will walk and not be faint. And these two scriptures will help you go past any obstacle that is put in front of you. There has been many times in my life where I wasn't sure what tomorrow was going to bring for me. But with the grace and mercy of God, I am here today. And when I leaned into His purpose for me and His plan, the doors began to open. I can so clearly see each step now that He was making. And with His provisions and His guidance, I have achieved another step in His plan, and that's becoming a life coach.
So, Rhonda, can you tell us, for people who may be either unfamiliar or just not clear as to what is life coaching, can you tell us what it is and also what it isn't?
Absolutely. I would be glad to. I'm going to give you the ICF definition of coaching, and ICF is basically the Medical Board of Coaching. And their definition is coaching is partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. The process of coaching often unlocks previously untapped sources of imagination, productivity, and leadership. And now I'm going to give you my extended definition. It would add coaching is forward moving. The awareness that the past has had an effect on your thought process, our decision making, and our inner critic. And those things will be brought out through the coaching process. But coaching will not stay there with you. You will be moved forward through those things to where you want to go. And those things will no longer inhibit you from being able to move forward. Um, it's always the client that who determines where and how to get there. It's never the coach that determines that. But coaching is not counseling, therapy, or consulting. It is it is not directive or advice giving. Although there may be times that with the client's permission, that the coach will share or bring some knowledge to you of her experiences.
So, what is a real basic example of something that somebody may be experiencing that they should consider reaching out to a life coach? So, can you just give me one example of that?
Okay. Well, we all have goals that we want to reach, challenges we want to strive to overcome, but things such as identity crisis, the questions in you: Who am I? Why am I here? The feeling stuck or unsettled, discontented, or unsure of how to go forward. Maybe you're facing a challenge of some sort. It could be any a number of things, but something that will you don't know how to move past it.
Yeah, and I'll give an example in which I have sought coaching, and that's when I am looking to um, relaunch or grow my business. And so I had the business plan um, that's been kind of there for quite a while, but I needed to kind of infuse some new direction and some clarity into it. So I engaged a business growth coach to kind of help me to look at my plans. And I think one of the things you said that is so important, that the ownership of the forward momentum is with the individual that is being coached, that the coach is there to supplement,
That's right.
to maybe cheerlead some, but not to lead. And
Hmm.
so the facilitative role of the coach is so important because if not, we can, like you said, we can lose our own self identity and the clarity of the purpose for which we
Right.
have set the goals and to set our visions. So, why
Yes.
is coaching so important, especially now? Why is coaching is growing by leaps and bounds? You see online that so many people are tagging themselves as coaches. Why now? What is your why
What is my why?
for coaching now?
My why is yeah. My why is because I know, as someone that has inner critic going on in their head from childhood, I know of someone who feels like that they have failed in several different areas, how hard it is to know where your comes from, um, to be able to trust in a God that you can't see
Yeah.
and know that His purpose is best for you. So the minute that I started looking, um, understanding that even if I was going through a hard time, that I there was something there that He was wanting to teach me. He was allowing me to go through that because there was something that He was wanting to teach me. And when I started looking for those things, it made it easier to move past them and helped me see his plan and want to move forward.
So, what's an ideal person that would engage with you as a life coach based on your area of focus? What's an ideal client for you?
Uh, Probably the identity piece of not knowing why they're here, not seeing value in their self. Um, Someone that's come from a hard past and feels, you know, shame and fear and guilt from past things, and they're just having a hard time understanding that God has forgiven those things and wants only the best for you. So someone that wants to move forward and wants things to be different, but just don't think that they have what it takes to get them there.
Okay. So, Rhonda, can you tell me? I know that sometimes when we come into whether it's a coaching or a mentoring or consulting relationship, as the client, we come in with our set of expectations, and sometimes
Mhm.
we come in with our expectations for, the coach to perform miracles and leaps and bounds.
Mhm.
And some of that, is not really reality based on the fact that you're working with the person to go from where they are to where they have purpose to go. So
Right.
tell me a little bit about one or two things that are unrealistic for someone to expect from a coach.
Okay. Hmm. Um, I can't create miracles in your life. Um, you're the only one that can do that. I If you're coming to me for me to tell you do A, B, and C, and you're going to get to Z without any problems, then then I'm not going to tell you that, because you're the one that determines what A, B, and C is. You're the one that decides where you want to go. So if you're coming to a coach to get them to tell you how to get to a certain point, then you're coming for the wrong reasons, because it's all comes from you. You have to be the one that wants to do that. Um,
So talk about one of the tools that you use. I know they always talk about the powerful questions. So talk about some practical tools that if I came to you as a coach, what are the tools that you're using to help draw out, like you said, what's somewhere in me, because God planted the seed of our purpose in us through Jeremiah 29:11. We may not fully understand or acknowledge what it is, but what is some tools that you use to help me for those things to surface?
okay. The first one would be, if you're looking for a spiritual, your identity in God and what He's wanting you, is a journaling process of, how am I feeling today? Why am I feeling that way? Um, where do you then looking for scriptures that tell you how God feels about you? And His word will end up counteracting how you're feeling, so that you'll start trusting Him more in that. Um, and then there's a growth process, and I wish I had that sitting in front of me, but just being able to understand where you're starting, what the wheel is, where you're starting, and you identifying some things that's going to motivate you to get to where you want to go. Because me telling you can what to do is not going to get you there. That has to come from inside. So any tool or the wheel of life or something that lets you identify where you are today, and then say where you want to be tomorrow, and then you figure out how you're going to drive yourself there.
And I
through
love
coaching.
what you shared about, particularly with um, for someone who is seeking a faith-centered or Christian-based life coaching, and I know there are a lot of different types of coachings, that people seek and that they need, and it's not a good or bad. It's what you need for, my business coaching framework may not be. Um, the person that's coaching me is a Christian, but the framework that we're using may not be like a biblical framework that we're using. I apply
Right.
those principles through the lenses of my faith because of my ministry and my business is faith based. But one of the things that when I first met you, when we were going through the um, Professional Christian Coaching Institute for certification. One, I want to congratulate you for finishing. I'm still a work in progress, but
Thank you.
you have actually put in the work and are actually now a certified life coach. So I meant to actually congratulate you on that earlier. So congratulations so much. I
Thank you.
really, it was a pleasure meeting you and working with you as we were in our peer groups. Um, and that your perspective and your approach for just kind of helping people pull out what's already been planted inside. You also mentioned Jeremiah 29:11, and that's kind of like my lifeline scripture. Um, the premise for Life
Yes.
Purpose by Design is Jeremiah 29:11, and knowing that it is God alone who knows the plan and the purpose that He has for your life. So, helping people through their relationship or their personal relationship with Jesus Christ to discover what that why, what that life purpose is, and then taking advantage of all the resources, life coaching, mentoring, whatever, you know, uh, pastoral assistance, whatever tools that God has purpose for us to be able to walk um, in His purpose and to do that with success and to keep moving forward. So, is there something else
Yes.
that you would want anyone to know about life coaching, about your faith journey forward, and what drives you with forward momentum?
Well, you had asked me a personal faith story for one, and I couldn't determine one because there were so many. But the main one, when I asked a couple of friends to that know me well, they were talking about in my marriage. Um, we've been married for 29 years now, and it was a combined marriage. I had two children, and he married into that. And there were so many reasons why it was hard and too many to even go through. But I knew that God did not want me to give up on that. And but He was showing me that I needed to let go of the control of that. So I went through a process of literally letting go of control and leaning more on Him. Um, and I had honest and open communication, some crying, some hollering, of telling Him exactly how I felt in that moment. And from that, He was giving me so much grace and so much mercy. And He was giving me the strength to do what I needed to do and nothing more. That was the key, is I needed to do what I could do and nothing more, and leave the rest of it up to Him. And that's been 17 years ago. And I can tell you that it's evident in my husband of the change, but the change in myself still amazes me. And that is because I had faith that He had a greater plan, and I just needed to lean on Him for that.
And we cannot overemphasize that God has the greater plan and our needing to tap into that. And I've just been reminding myself lately that I refuse to do anything for God without God. One, is impossible to do it,
Right.
but to
Right.
make sure that
Oh, we can do it. We can do it, but it's
we can attempt to,
yeah.
we can attempt to. And, you and I were chatting earlier, and we were just chatting through how when God brings us or calls us to do something and gives us an assignment, sometimes we experience the butterflies. Sometimes we experience the, oh God, I said yes to this, but can I really walk this out? And we were sharing about how, when God calls us, he equips us. So butterflies and all. This has been a wonderful journey of just um, engaging with different people at Life Purpose by Design. And definitely today, with you being our special guest, one of the things when I was preparing for today, I found what I call forward mindset influencers. And the first and most important person was Apostle Paul, who says, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth into those things which are before, I press towards the mark. So when we talk about the pathway forward, it's not this little, easy breezy walk in the park. Sometimes we have to have a mindset to forget about the things that have been kind of holding us back, forget about, the mistakes that we've made, the thing that we thought was going to be the perfect thing to do, and it just didn't work out. But Paul tells us to forget all that. And I want you to just press forward, reach out, to stretch yourself, and to move forward towards the mark that God has purposed, which is that higher mark. And then Les Brown says, don't let anyone else's opinion of you become your reality. And that's an important point that you made, Rhonda, when you were talking about coaching, because it's not the coach's opinion of your reality. It is the God revealed faith reality of who he's purposed and who he's planning you to be. And so for the person who is just struggling, like, well, yeah, I know I'm supposed to be moving forward. I know I've got to, forget everything behind, and I've got to stop letting all that occupy my mind and my space. And I just got to figure out how to take that next step forward. What is just one word advice you would give somebody to just take the first step?
Oh, wow. Well, you asked me that, and I come up with 10 things, so I don't know how much time I have, but it's funny.
So give us two.
God must be working in this for sure, because my number one thing was don't let yourself give up on you. And the Philippians 3:13 scripture was the one that I referenced for that. It's what you said. But one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining towards what is ahead. So that was my number one thing. The other thing is to wait and watch um, for for his leading, uh, and be willing to move wherever he says move. And I use Proverbs 16:9. In the heart, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. And then remember that no one else is going to get you where you want to go except for you. So if you want to go somewhere, then you've got to determine that that's what you want to do, and you've got to lean into him to help you get there.
Yeah, I found this quote also. It says, it's by Tony Robbins, and it said, the most important thing you can do to achieve your goals is to make sure that as soon as you set them, you immediately begin to create momentum. It doesn't mean that you have all the answers, that you have all the clarity in terms of the direction, but it does mean setting your mind that you're going to move forward with this. And more importantly, you're going to move forward with God as you move forward with the steps that you are
Right.
taking. Um, so some takeaways before I get you to share some contact information with us for how people can connect with you as a certified life coach. One, I just want to share that Jesus's love, his acceptance, and his forgiveness supersedes any of our past mistakes, our self doubts, and others' opinions of your having the power to live your best life forward. I like to say, go with Jesus and leave the rest to Him.
Right.
And that's what Pastor Charles Stanley says. He says, I think it's obey God and leave the consequences to Him. And so, in going forward, that's just an important thing for us to remember. The second thing that I want people to reflect on is forward is just not the preferred way of living, but it is required to experience your greater purpose that God has designed. If you really want to experience the Jeremiah 29:11, and not just have an experience, but for that to be your life identity, forward is the preferred. You know, God tells us even in Joshua, every place that you plant your feet, I will give it to you. And the key word is every place that you plant your feet. And so, one of the things, Rhonda, that in your sharing has helped me to remember is that when we take our personal forward momentum, it multiplies our influence in order to propel others to move forward in their greater purpose. So, can you share with us, for someone who may be interested in finding out more about your life coaching services and products, how they would contact you?
Okay. Very simple. You can go to rhondagouldonline.com, rhondagouldonline.com, or you can look me up on Facebook with Rhonda Gould Coaching and Consulting. Either way, there will be a contact button for you to push, and it will send me an email. And you can give me a little information about you, and then we'll get started.
And we also have Rhonda's contact information on the Life Purpose by Design post for this particular live show. So, Rhonda, thank you so much for joining us today at Life Purpose by Design. Congratulations again
Thank
for
you.
the momentum forward achievement of becoming a certified life coach. And I just want to encourage our viewing audience to first thank you for watching our Live Purpose by Design live shows. And for today, I just want you to know that you can do something. Franklin Roosevelt said, do something. If it works, do more of it. If it doesn't, do something else. So, as you contemplate your pathway to forward, I just want to encourage you to do something. Be blessed and join us next time here at Life Purpose by Design.
Thank you, Sheila.